Hi, everyone. This is it. We've made it to week 15, and you only have 1 week left to go. I'm honestly really surprised at how fast this semester has flown by. So let's take a quick look at what you have due for week 15. So this week we're kind of saying now what? We want to bring it all together. You're going to complete the readings from the Evolio and Cotter textbooks as we come full circle and looking at these different leadership philosophies. As a reminder, we have covered 3 major units: power and influence, servant leadership, and transformational leadership. This week you're going to be evaluating yourself and your group members one last time in regards to contributions as team members and team leaders. Individually, you will respond to another student's final discussion thread as we work to resolve any remaining questions over the units. And then the purpose really of this week's assignments is to help you prepare and think critically about the concepts we've learned this semester in order for you to complete your final reflection, which is due in week 16. As a reminder, I have your final reflection paper due on Wednesday, May 1, because the semester ends on Friday, May 3rd. I'm asking for it to be due on Wednesday night, specifically to give me a head jump on doing some grading for you. I'll have final reflections to grade, any extra credit work. I drop your lowest quiz score. And so really going through all that grading for a class this large takes some time. And I also graduate on Friday, if any of you do as well, Friday or Saturday. So I do want to be able to kind of enjoy Friday with my family. So I want to get a head start in grading on Thursday. So some important reminders. Again, I will give 5 points extra credit if I have 100% participation on course evals. Now, I understand that 5 points is not a lot, but for some people in class, 5 points really might make a difference. So please don't drop the ball. Function as one big system, one big unit, rely on each other. Everybody go into their MyRed, take the 2 minutes to do the assessment, the course evaluation. It's really beneficial for the ALEC department to know how online classes go. We need to keep offering online options for our students who need the flexibility. But I understand online's not for everyone. So if you took this class because you needed the credits, but it wasn't really your cup of tea, that's fine. But really evaluate the class critically. How was Canvas organized? Was the content easy to find? Were things presented systematically? What worked, what didn't work well? Is Zoom an effective way to communicate? I also get that not all of you love group work, and that's fine too, but note that we're not probably going to change that in a leadership class. In all leadership courses, one of the biggest skills that we can learn is how to communicate and negotiate in a team setting. As a leader, we're always going to be working with other people, helping to motivate them and inspire them and make sure that we're able to have good contribution and output. So if you had some really challenging times, I hope you don't just roll your eyes at it and think, oh, this was a frustrating group class, but instead think, I had to learn how to negotiate those difficult challenges and know how to approach it in a way to make my communication effective. And sometimes we have to communicate in those difficult situations. And so I hope you find it as a learning opportunity, whether you loved or didn't love the group work in class. Also note that you should be working on your final reflection paper, as I mentioned earlier. I do have in week 16 unit overviews for units 2, 3, and 4. It will lead you to Box, where there's 3 different PowerPoints that really conceptualize and give you the cliff notes, if you will, of all 3 units. So what you're reading this week again is Evolio chapters 13 through 15, and in your Cotter textbook 10 and 11. As always, you have a quiz due on Friday. By Sunday, you're going to do the peer evaluations. And then on Sunday, you're going to also respond to, again, that final discussion thread. You posted a question on 14, so this week you're answering that question. All right, so let's just take a quick look here in Canvas. I'll walk you through it. So we're just going to go right down to the assignments. So again, here's your quiz. This time for the peer evaluations, I did not make a Google form. I tried to do it a little bit more systematically. Downloading that huge Excel file was kind of troublesome for myself and the teaching team, so this might work easier. All you need to do is click on this Word document, save it, answer it, and then upload it back to Canvas. So this is what it looks like. So in part 1, you're assessing yourself. How were you as a group member? And then how were you as an assignment leader? So again, I want you to give me a number on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most ideal. You did awesome in that role, 1 being very, very poor. And so I really want to make sure you explain what your strengths and your improvements were. So as a group member, let's say you give yourself an 8, and then maybe you justify you had a busy work schedule and therefore you were not always effective in your communication. So what improvements might you give yourself? What you might say, for improvements is that you needed to find a better form of communication or be a little bit more prompt. Then down here again, assignment leader, give yourself a number, and then what were your strengths and what improvements would you give yourself? So this is a lot of self-reflection in part 1. Part 2 is where you're going to do your group members. So here's where it's a little different. You just need to give your team member's name and then give them a number and then justify. So just a quick comment, it doesn't have to be lengthy. Maybe you're giving Tim a 7 because he lacked some communication on a few assignments, but overall a good group member, and then really showed initiative on leading projects, was a bit behind in maybe communication was Tim's weak side, and so even though he was really effective at leading it, you kind of wished he would have checked in more, whatever the case might be. But you don't need to give me a lot of justification, but just a little. I know it's the end of the semester, but I still want to understand the scores that you're giving to your group members. So then what you have for week 15, lastly, is just clicking on the discussion thread. All you need to do here is scroll down and find a question that you want to reply to. So maybe you really like Claire's question, and then just click reply, and then you can reply to Claire. Again, I know sometimes discussion board can be kind of cumbersome, but you have the ability to scroll through here and find someone's question that you find really interesting, or maybe it was a concept you also enjoyed or had questions about. So here's a great place then for you to post your response. And then the last thing I want to show you quickly is just those unit overviews. So again, for next week, and I will do a video update, but if you want to start working on that paper, which I recommend you do, if you click on unit overview, it will lead you to Box. And then as you can see, there's a PowerPoint for Power and Influence, Servant, and Transformational. So again, these are kind of like a Cliff Notes overview of everything that was covered in that unit. So you might really find this a good place to go back and refresh your memory if we're going all the way back to Power and Influence. Maybe you don't remember all those concepts that we learned within the first 5 weeks. Okay, so lastly, extra credit. Extra credit is due this Sunday. It was brought to my attention that the Freedom Writers movie that I had originally posted, for some reason it was free last semester when I taught this in class, and it's not free. It shows that it is $3.99 to $4.99 with Prime. If you're willing to buy it, awesome, or rent it, awesome, but if you're not, I'm not requiring you to spend money. So I'm going to do a search and give you a few other questions to respond, or a few other movies to watch, and then I will write the questions to be a little bit more general. So the idea is in Freedom Writers, you use Hilary Swank's character as a teacher to see if she applied specific servant leadership skills. So what I'll do is pick a few other movies and ask you to pick a character who you felt was a servant leader, and then apply if you feel that character was or was not a servant leader based on different readings that we covered. And again, that's due this Sunday on the 28th. So let me do some looking for some free videos for those that are out there. Otherwise, if you want to do Freedom Writers and you don't mind paying the money for it, that's fine too. But I do apologize. I did not realize that it had now had a cost associated with it. So I will do that today. I also want to let you know that I'm in the process of grading your creative research briefs. I think I have 4 groups left, and so I will finish those today and get those grades posted as well. So please, as always, if you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or anyone on the teaching team. I hope you all have a great week.